think I loved Christmas. I loved Christmas, everybody being here, you know, the warmth of it. Yeah, my dad's jokes from early in the morning. You know, it was just, yeah, it was just nice and warm. My mom in the kitchen, you know, yeah.
I hear, like, we used to hear all these stories about them, like her and my dad painted like one card 2 different colors, right? When they were left home alone, they tried to flood the room because they wanted to go swimming. I feel like they wouldn't be as naughty. They wouldn't have been as naughty if they had TV.
How can you describe your mother's parenting style?
Oh, wow. Quite easy, very loving, very directing, at the same time allowing us to shape ourselves and, you know, go in whatever direction, you know, your passion drives you.
Mm-hmm. How did she discipline you?
Well, it depends on how bad the crime was. So, I mean, mostly it was, you know, you're grounded, and, you know, it's now being grounded means you don't have the social anymore. You can't go see friends. So grounding was quite common. The occasional pinch, but yeah. Luckily, I was good. I was a good child, so I hardly got into trouble.
You are lucky. When you were young, what was her schedule during Christmas?
Christmas was okay. I remember it was always by the 24th evening. We're wrapping presents. Then we'd go for the Christmas carol service at church, and then you come back for dinner. Then the next, if it wasn't the midnight service, it was the earlier service. It was midnight. We'd already have had our dinner. Then Christmas Day was now fun because it was come around the tree, which we had also, you know, done with the wrapping of the presents, and then we open our presents. Yeah, and then we have a sumptuous lunch, and normally family, you know, and friends would come over. Still do. It's still a very family-oriented, you know, sort of celebration. Yeah.
What Christmas traditions did you learn from your mom that you still hold dear today and to your childhood celebrations?
I think the importance of Thanksgiving to God. Yeah, we're of Christian religion. Yeah, so always learning to give thanks for seeing another Christmas and for all the blessings that we have. And I think another thing she taught us is always to remember those who are less fortunate. So when we're a bit older, we even started going to visit homes and give them lunch. And yeah, just that whole community and caring, and especially giving thanks to God.
That's lovely. What is the most important message would you like to give to your mom and your child today?
So to my mom is, I mean, she's amazing. Continue being amazing. We dote on you. We still really value the correction, the guidance. Yeah. Yeah. So, and to know that we love you very, very much. We love her very, very much. Yeah. Yeah.
I like the way your face lights up when you talk about her. And your kid.
To my son, Matthew, he's 16, is to, you know, keep on emulating what grandma has taught us. They're very close. They're very, very good friends. So the power of prayer, the importance of prayer and thanksgiving, yeah, is what I'd like him to continue to, you know, to do. Yeah.
Thank you. Now we go to Chloe. Mm-hmm. How are you?
I'm good.
I'll ask you a first question. Mm-hmm. Describe your mom and your grandma in 3 words.
Grandma would be caring. What's the word? Motivating, and I don't know, charitable, like her name, Charity. And then my mom is very blunt, but very kind and smiley, I guess.
Mom has a really good sense of humor. Yeah.
As part of your new generation, how do you blend old family traditions with modern ways of celebrating Christmas?
Well, I can just take you through what we do during Christmas now. Well, when we're here, we'll come over like we'll spend a couple of days here. We'll put up the tree together. And then obviously we all wrap our presents last minute. So we'll wrap it on the 24th and then put them under the tree. And then we always have this little like Jesus and the mantle, you know,
In the manger.
in the manger, sorry.
Yeah.
In the manger, we have those little figures that we put around the tree. And then the next day we'd have lunch, and then grandma likes to give us like, she'll speak about like I don't know, a religious story, especially if it has to do with Christ. That's what she'll talk about. And then she'll probably read a Bible verse for us. And then we'll have like our uncle on the piano and we'll sing Christmas carols. Yeah. So I don't think it's much different, except we don't go to church on the 24th night.
Yeah.
But we do spend a lot of time together. We do listen to a lot of Christmas music and gospel music on Christmas. So yeah, I think that's the only changes we've had.
Okay. What are some of the traditions you think are old school?
Ooh, I don't know if I'm the person to ask that, because I'm of the opinion that I was born after my time, so I don't find any of the traditions we have now old school. Yeah, I don't think we have any that I find old school.
Okay. What message do you have for your auntie?
That I love her and that I'm proud of her, and I love to see her doing things that she loves to do, especially when it has to do with school, because she has like the biggest heart for children. So I love to see her like putting herself into it.
And maybe she can tell us what she does. Maybe you can tell us what you do.
Or what I do. So I mean, my job. So what I do, my background is I'm a corporate person. I've been in corporate for over 25 years. And then I left corporate about a couple of years ago. And I decided to start my own consultancy firm. I'm big in e-commerce, innovation, those sorts of things. I was at the helm of M-Pesa when it was launched. So you can see my age. Yeah, I did that for 10 years at Safaricom. And then I decided to also come and help my mom at the school and join my brother, who also, helps at the school. So I've shadowed her for a while. So now I do almost everything that she did from an operational perspective. But of course, I'm an engineer by profession. Well, she's an academician. So we still, work very, very closely together. That's what I do. Yeah. So I have a hybrid life. So I spend a few days at the school, a few days on my consultancy gigs. Yeah.
And maybe Kwe, you can now tell us maybe 2 or 3 things you'd like to tell your grandma and your mom.
Okay. Her grandma, I want to be her. I want to be someone who worked towards a dream, accomplished it, and keeps giving into it. So I want to be like her. That's what I would tell her. And for my mom, I admire her because she's always been very direct. She tells you how she feels. She tells you what she likes and what she doesn't like. She doesn't mince words,
Yeah.
But she enjoys life, like she enjoys her family. She enjoys her friends. She only does what she wants to do, Yeah.
And what do you do?
I work at the school. I'm a librarian for the younger kids. So I work with like the grades 1 to 3. So I'm with the kids a lot. I see how my grandma runs the school. I see how people there admire her. I see Auntie Betty doing things for the school now, like working with, how the kids are living, the kind of food they're eating. But like you're not really that involved in that. But like I do see that you pay extra attention to their living circumstances at school.
You want to say how you graduated, your degree, where you studied?
I studied at the University of Arizona. My degree was classics with an emphasis in classical civilizations. So that means I studied ancient Rome and Greece and other Mediterranean countries that lived around the same time. So like that would include Carthage, Persia, and I graduated in December. Yeah.
What's the most exciting thing about working in school?
I don't know. Having the little events, I think, because we have multiple events during the term. We'll have like Parents' Day, Open Day. We had Poetry Week last week. Last term, we had Literature Week, and we had kids come in dressed as their favorite authors. You know, so we have like these events that are child-focused and learning-focused, but like the kids are able to have fun with it. So I enjoy seeing that and being a part of it.
Oh. So we're going to compare your childhood between you two. So how did you spend your free time when you were growing up?
Okay, you realize when I was growing up, there was no mobile phones. Yeah, wasn't the digital age had not set in. So we lived here. I've grown up here in Kiganjo. So we spent a lot of time on the farm. Yeah, we'd grow. We'd each be given like a small patch. What are you gonna grow this holiday? I'm gonna grow carrots. I'm gonna grow. So we learnt a lot about living on a farm. You know, even taking the sheep out for grazing and things like that. So we spent a lot of time outdoors, you know, sort of on the farm. That's how we'd entertain ourselves. Because in those days, actually, TV also used to start at 5 p.m. And end at 10 p.m. or something ridiculous like that. So, yeah, that's lots of time outdoors, you know, really learnt a lot from my mom about flowers. I can name most of the flowers in the garden, most trees. So that's how we spent our time. And we enjoyed it. And our friends would come over and have to be subjected to the same. We go and visit our friends and get subjected to the same. We also spent a lot of time at my grandmother's farm, picking coffee, picking tea, harvesting potatoes. Yeah. And we used to actually enjoy that because now that's a trip. No, yeah, it was great. But then we also were quite privileged and lucky that at least one holiday would be taken away. So we either go to Mombasa or visit relatives in Eldoret. Yeah. But the digital age was not there.
How about you?
Well, for me and my sister, when we were first growing up, like there wasn't much digitalization, especially here in Kenya. We had just moved back from the States. We were both born in California. So we did spend a lot of time here as well. Like, and grandma didn't get Wi-Fi or DSTV or any of that until after 2010 sometime. So it was pretty similar. We didn't have TV, we didn't have Wi-Fi, but we did like, I think we used to play around in the garden. We'd go into the garden, and then we'd like come back with nettle stings, and then we'd play with the dogs. We were always having puppies because she's had dogs for a while, so there were always puppies at least a couple of times a year, which was exciting for us. And then I have very fond memories of my grandpa. I mean, he was either in that chair or in the other living room, or he used to have an office here. So we'd spend time with him, like watching the colobus monkeys, or climbing chairs, or just being nuisances and him protecting us from grandma. Yeah. And then we spent a lot of time here. In Nairobi, we spent most of our holidays here, the occasional one in Mombasa, but most of the time we were in Kiganjo.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's one thing from your time you wish she experienced?
Oh man, I really enjoyed. My parents did not differentiate between boys and girls. I do have a sister, Dr. Wandia, and then my brother, but all chores were for everybody. And my favorite, because I was a tomboy, was I learned how to slaughter a goat and a sheep. I can do that even now. Yes, and the whole process. Okay, I can't do the actual killing, but you know how to, go through the process, get the different parts. Yeah, I'd love to take you through that, but they're just like, yeah. So.
Okay. You. What would you wish that she experienced in generation?
I don't know. Maybe TV.
Because lots of TV.
Yeah, I hear, like, we used to hear all these stories about them. Like, her and my dad painted like one car 2 different colors, right? When they were left home alone, they tried to flood the room because they wanted to go swimming. I feel like they wouldn't be as naughty. They wouldn't have been as naughty if they had TV. So I think that's the only change.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite childhood memory from here?
Oh, there's so many. One, that's a real challenge. I think I loved Christmas. Everybody being here. you know, the warmth of it. Yeah, my dad's jokes from early in the morning. You know, it was just, yeah, it was just nice and warm. My mom in the kitchen, you know. Yeah, yeah, I loved Christmas. Yeah.
For me, I liked when we had lots of people here. I think those are my fondest memories. We'd have we had a big group of cousins that would come over and we'd like play around. And if the power went out, we'd have like power outage games, you know, and like those were fun times for me. So I think those were my favorite childhood memories, just having people.
Okay. How did you handle dating in your time versus now?
Well, interestingly, my parents were quite liberal. Yeah, were quite liberal. So when we came of age, you know, I could even bring my boyfriend home. Yeah, but of course we've been given the talks around, you know, this is how it goes. So they were quite liberal. Let's put it that way. I find, you know, my friends would be like, "What? Yeah, you know, so and so's been invited for lunch, and or is coming to the party." So yeah, yeah, it was okay. Yeah.
Well, my parents weren't too bad. I mean, my dad we leave him alone, but my mom was my mom was liberal. She was fine with that, but I lost interest in it. So for me, I'm just like, when it comes, it comes. They know I'm not dating anyone, and that's fine. So yeah.
Wow. Who is more strict between your aunt or your mom?
My mom, I think.
Debatable.
Okay, maybe to me, you're not as strict as my mom, but to Matthew, you might be around the same amount.
If Matthew was asked, he'd say definitely Mama.
What kind of music did you vibe to growing up?
The same that we listen to these days, man. There's you know, the soul, the, you know,
R&B.
I mean, it was just jazz. Yeah.
You guys don't listen to Abanton?
Now we do.
But you do.
Now we do, you know?
Yeah. You do. Which one do you know?
None.
Song.
I listen to whatever they put. My son tells me, you know, because he's also, interestingly enough, he's only 16. He's a what? What is that new? He's still a Gen Z. He just made Gen Z. So he comes as Mom, listen to this, because he also listens to Prince. He'll listen to, you know, stuff I enjoy as well. Yeah, so he'll come and try and educate me on stuff. Yeah.
So if Koi and Matthew decided to go for demonstrations, would you allow them?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Just carry your water, as long as it's peaceful demonstrations. I think it's important, and I just love the way the current Gen Zs especially have got their voice, man. You do things so differently. I mean, where I work, I have Gen Zs working, and you have your own way of doing things, and it's so refreshing, because for us, we were also quite, what do you call it? It was quite a straight upbringing. Yeah, you don't go and demonstrate. You don't do those things, right? You're not outspoken. We comply. Right, as you know, it's a Kenyan culture, has been the Kenyan culture, and I'm so glad it's changing. Yeah, I'm even on groups now that are like, man, we kept quiet for so long. You know, our children are leading the way. Let's support. Yeah, so absolutely.
Well, our CEO allowed us to go for demonstrations too.
Excellent.
What's the most surprising thing you've learned from each other's generation?
I think for me, the outspokenness, this generation, your generation, are very open, very direct, very opinionated, and also very not closed in thinking. Yeah, the world is really, their oyster. Anything can happen. I talk about my son. He's already starting a business. When I was 16, I was just trying to pass my O levels so that my parents cannot be upset. You understand? So that whole open thinking, I love it. Yeah.
I think what I learned from you guys is how I feel like from every person of you guys' generation that I've spoken to, you've always had like this drive about you. Like, you start working and you continue working until you set up what you want for your family to live with, Because like with you, you started working pretty soon after you graduated as well. My mom worked all through college as well.
Yes.
Dad with his like crew classes, and you know, I just feel like you guys were all very determined and single track minded, and that's what I admire from your generation, I think.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see if what grandma said has been hearsay. Okay. Let's see. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Okay. Yeah, it's a tea family. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Night owl.
Thank you. Mountains or beach?
Oh, beach.
Beach.
Oh, beach babes. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Both.
Dogs family.
Yeah.
Your dream vacation?
Wow. I guess I've traveled. I've been lucky. I've traveled all over. My next destination, I think, is Greece. I love to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I think you should write something there. It's a traveling family.
I love to travel. Yeah.
I want to go to an island. Like, I want to do Bali or, Bali. I really liked our trip when we went to Mauritius,
Yes.
you know? So.
Okay. What's your hidden talent?
Hidden talent for me is, I think, my leadership skills and my innovative mind. I'm very creative. That's how I ended up with M-Pesa and starting M-Pesa. I think that's something that, and then I also, I don't know if it's a talent or it's just what drives me. Whatever I do has got to have big positive impact on lives. So you find me at school, I love those kids and I love what we're doing for them. When we brought in M-Pesa, I loved what it did for Kenyans and beyond, because I also worked out of Kenya. So things that really, put a smile and add value, to another life. Yeah.
I don't know if I have many. I mean, I think I've always been good with my hands. I mean, I've been able to play most instruments I've tried. Like, I think that's my best. I mean, I knit, I crochet. I can do most things with my hands, and it doesn't matter which hand. I'm right-handed, but I can do things with my left hand. So I think that's what I'd call my hidden talent.
Like her grandmother, she's also ambidextrous. Wangoi and Koi.
If you had to have dinner with one person in the world, dead or alive, who would you choose?
I think Grandpa.
I'd definitely say my dad. Yeah, we miss him. Yeah, and he was the life of the party. Yeah.
Okay. One thing you can't live without.
My phone.
I think for me, it's probably prayer. Yeah.
Your mom said the same thing.
I don't know where I'd be. I'd be so lost. Yeah. So every day starts with a prayer and every night ends with a prayer. And they're prayers of thanksgiving. Yeah.
If you could time travel, where would you go, to the past or future?
Me, definitely the future. I really want to see what's coming. I mean, things are moving so quickly. So definitely the future. Yes, I want to see where AI takes us. Yeah. When I started studying my engineering degree, computers filled a room like this. They were called mainframes. And I only had a 3-year course. By the time I was leaving, I was on a laptop. Can you imagine that culture? That culture change, it was amazing. Yeah, we were like this. We're just, flying in our class. We're like, huh? What next? What next? What next? Yes, I'd love to see what's coming in technology in the future and what the world will look like. Yeah.
I think I'd like to go to the past. I don't know. I've always loved history. So I'd like to actually, experience it. Like, not my history. I'd like to go to like distant past, when things were simpler. So I'd like to experience that, I think. So that's where I'd go. Okay. Future, I'll see when it comes.
Yeah.
What's the last book you read?
I'm currently reading, I've forgotten what it's called, I'm currently reading a book by Isabel Allende. And when I say currently, and the reason I keep forgetting what it's called is because I'm still on page 2. Then something happens and I go back. But I'll remember what it is on my bedside. Yeah, so she's one of my favorite authors. This is a new book that she's just brought out. She's one who's, then there's the other one, I can't remember. But my favorite, can I tell you my favorite book of all time is Purple Hibiscus. And I was so impressed that it's even become an examinable book now. But then, So I love books. Look around. We read very many books. Yeah. And Paulo Coelho is one of my favorite authors. So and I'm always reading 2 or 3 books at the same time. So I've even got a pile of 3 others that I'm going to start as soon as I make some progress with the other one.
Well, for me, mine you'd probably not have heard because I'm very into for now I'm really into Chinese history.
Right.
So a lot of the books I'm reading are fiction based on Chinese history. So the most recent one I've read is called Heaven Official's Blessing. And it's by, I'm not going to say her name, I'm going to give you her initials because I can't pronounce it, MXDX. And it's kind of a controversial book because first of all, it's set in Chinese history. And it's also, it's a romance between 2 men. So it's very controversial in China. And even the author, she uses a pseudonym. We don't know who she is because she could be arrested. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's very serious. So those are the kind of books I'm into right now. Before that, I was really into mythology type books, Rick Riordan's,
But great. But one of the things that I think these guys have always found very strange about me, I love comic books. So I don't know if you guys know Tintin. You've never heard of them in your generation, but I have them all. It's this French Tintin. Anyway, my generation know it. Do you know Asterix? You don't know Asterix? You know Asterix.
Of
Maybe
course.
because of me and Tintin.
And
so I have all
that
these
too.
comic books. Yeah.
And also Archie.
Archie. I have all the Archies, Betty and Veronica. I love comics because it's easy reading. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Look up Archies. Look up Archies. Look up the Tintin and Asterix.
I think Tintin has a movie.
There's a movie.
An old movie.
Yeah.
And Asterix has a movie, but I wouldn't recommend watching it.
Asterix, read the comics. They actually helped me because when I was studying French, it's a translation out of, from French. So it actually really helped my French grammar, grow. And the stories are about real things that happened in history. Yeah, so, yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous 2025.